Thank you for being here today. For everyone who doesn't know Janice, I'm just going to she's been a longtime friend and client of mine. I'm going to let her take over and introduce who she is, who she helps, kind of what she does. And then we're just going to have a little conversation and I'll just grill you and ask a few questions. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
All right. Well, you
And
look
I'm
gorgeous
glad
as
we did.
always. Let's have you introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Aloha from Maui. And I'm glad the power didn't go out. I know my son is near Mount Shasta area and Highway 5 is completely closed. So they're snowed in, no school. The kids are loving it, I'm sure. So, I hope it's good for all of you that are in this, whatever they're calling it, some kind of massive storm bomb.
They're
I'm over
calling it
here
a
in the
bomb
mountains.
cyclone because I think that just kind of stirs the pot. But yeah, it's just
That
really
sounds
windy. We're getting
a
some
little
good
scary.
snow. Yeah.
That's when we really have to get grounded and use our tools. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about because, we have been talking together for a while and I love your group and I'm grateful to be here and thank you for doing this. I just really love to inspire people, especially entrepreneurs, to, never give up, stay in the game, no matter what the outside circumstances, if there's a bomb cyclone going on or not. And that's part of the reason why I love being an entrepreneur because we at least can have that choice. Our fate isn't up to somebody else. It's up to me if it's going to be. And so I love that. And I've been an entrepreneur for 36 years. So I was raised by
Wow.
entrepreneurs. It's in my DNA. I don't think I could do it any other way. And as I hear we're going into this incredible time right now with Pluto and Aquarius and all this fun stuff. I am a double Aquarius and beyond Aquarius. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
I'm feeling a big shift and a lot of energy and a lot of clarity. And really, we had been talking a little before about, why would I want to be an entrepreneur? Well, that's why, so that I can be a little more, right, in charge of my fate. Because as I've learned, we're never really in charge. And in that letting go, it can really flow a lot smoother. So I have really enjoyed being an entrepreneur, but there's been definite ups and downs. And the downs usually come when you're in and up and it's not expected.
Right.
And we have lots of things that are, constantly changing and things are happening faster. And we have to be alert and ready and at the top of our game. And I know what it's like to be at the top of my game and then be at the bottom of my game. And I prefer really working towards the top because it's more fun. And, I've been really an alternative wellness seeker for many years. I had my own lavender farm and bed and breakfast for years and years and taught about, looking to more natural solutions so that we could live a more toxic free and healthy life and really, that the idea that our health isn't just the absence of disease. It's really understanding how we can have more mental clarity, more joyful energy, more happiness. I always tell people the best advice I ever got and really feel is so true is if you can find moments every day to laugh, to really have genuine moments where you're happy, that belly
That keeps
laugh.
us young too, doesn't it?
Even though they say it gives us laughing lines, of which I have many,
Hand them
I'd
over. I'll
rather
take them
take them.
all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Take them. So yeah, I mean, I could go on, but did you want to ask me anything
Well,
before I
I have
keep
some questions, but before I get into those, I love your lavender farm story. This is something that when you told me this a long time ago, I was like, what? I never knew that that was even a thing. I knew that lavender farms existed. I just didn't know that people actually
Well,
man.
that's funny too because you live in Lavender Farm area, like the birthplace in North
Do
America,
I?
right?
Okay, I didn't
Sequim,
know.
in Sequim, Washington.
Uh-huh.
There are
Uh-huh.
so many, and during July and lavender season, a lot of people ascend on there. It's a big tourist draw, and so I did love it. I've seen it. I had visited some in Europe, and my husband and I bought a 100-year-old farm in '98 in Central California. And I had wanted to teach my kids where their food came from because I grew up in Beverly Hills and I grew up in the generation where your food came from the market and it was a big deal to get a TV dinner. And we loved them,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, and all of a sudden we started processing and adding things. And thankfully they came up with synthetic vitamins at the time. They were necessary, but what I've learned and what I do now and what I do in my business is teach people about the importance of naturally sourced vitamins, whole food nutrition. And yes, we're in the age of supplementation, but you can get quality whole food, naturally sourced vitamins, and I can get them to you. But I just knew that I wanted to teach my kids that because I didn't know. And so we bought the farm, and I had visited a lavender farm and just fell in love with the idea and thought, I want to do that because I had worked in the floral industry years prior, and I knew I loved giving events and doing flowers and all that. And I figured my kids could help. And it really did serve us well for many years, 13 years. And I was the largest tourist draw there in the town. People loved it. They'd come year after year, and I'd cast this vision of what was going to happen out in that empty field. And they'd come back and see it done, and they'd be, wow. And then they'd come back the next year, wow. And it was the easiest sell ever because people, the minute they got out of the car, they were mesmerized by the smell and beauty.
Right.
And I'm partly our story, but we would spend time with them and we would teach them. And I would share some beautiful stories that I haven't shared a lot of because they take too long in these interviews. But one of these days I will share some of those because it was the way I made them feel and the way the lavender made them feel that by the time we walked around the farm and got to my little farm store, that was just the third bay in my 3-car garage that I turned into a store.
Oh,
And I had
really?
my
Uh-huh.
still and whatever we were doing in season as farmers, they could see. And I would always teach a lesson. And it was just so much fun for me. I'm a teacher at heart. And it was my venue. And I hosted big groups from the Red Hatter Garden Clubs to big tourist groups to two people groups, and just would spend a lot of time, and they'd always buy something. I mean, do you think I had to sell it? No. And it was just so much fun. And I didn't realize I had really thought we tried our best, and it was it was a lot of work, and we loved it. I was the lavender lady, but I spent a year with the Small Business Administration to figure out how to do a business plan.
Okay.
And nobody told me in the plan, be prepared if you break a leg. There was just no talk of being prepared and having a plan B or any of that. Everything was
Because you
invested in this.
literally broke your leg, like you physically broke your leg,
I
and
did
nothing
on
had
my first
changed
vacation
for
in
you.
3 years.
Oh, okay. So what was that pivot like for you?
It was a huge shift because within a year I'd lost everything, had to sell short, walk away bankrupt. Medical, 4 surgeries, almost lost my leg, went into a deep depression. I used to teach Pilates at the farm. I was very fit. And I felt let down by that. So I got resentful and I ate my way up to 100 pounds heavy and a lot of grief and burden and lost that beautiful venue. So I felt like, oh, I'll never have anything like, I mean, just got very depressed.
Yeah.
So I learned how to work out of that. And it's been a 13-year journey now. This happened in 2009, 14-year journey. It's been a long time and it's been this beautiful journey. And I realized it took me about 3 years to really let go of the resentments and realize that this is all part of my journey and
But
brought
you
me to where I
continued
am.
on to be an entrepreneur, though.
Yes, I didn't
You're
stop. A couple
resilient.
times I had to get a little part-time job at a spa,
Huh?
and I got a part-time job doing some different things, but it was physically challenging because I was trying to save my leg and it just was a lot of work. So thankfully, I did get back into the network marketing industry, which was for me a choice. I could have gone back and got my real estate license again, or done this or done that. And I chose to be in this industry because I've been in it really since I was 15. I love selling direct to consumer. So it really helped me turn things around.
Okay.
And also with my weight, I was able to release the weight. But mostly what I realized is that if we don't address the deficiencies, and those are mental and physical.
Yeah.
The toxins, which I was rich in toxins because I had had so many surgeries, and I don't do pain pills very well, and I don't do pharmaceuticals. I'm medication free, thankfully, and that was a loop for me to deal with. And so all of those things are stored in our fat. So here I'd put on all this fat, and this was like a constant IV drip of ugh. And so I just didn't feel good, was losing
Right.
my problem. So I had to address that and then the stress. So losing everything and having a physical problem like that creates immense stress on somebody,
It just
and it
compounds
darn
it.
near
Yeah.
killed us. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was tough.
So, but you were resilient and you made it through, obviously. Thank goodness. What would you say looking back, if you were to give yourself piece of advice, or like what's your best piece of advice? Because, you know, shocker to anyone who's new into the entrepreneur world, this is difficult sometimes and that's putting it nicely. But
Well,
what's your best piece of advice through all
you
this?
know, first of all, I love it. I always tell people if it's in your blood at all, go for it. Because it is all right now about being authentically you and sharing your gifts, waking up with purpose, which I do every single day. And it's really too about this idea of, grit. You have to
Yeah.
have a little grit. You have to be able to stay in the game and take a look at what's going on and then address the deficiencies. I know that once I started physically taking care of myself more with whole foods and really looking at what my body needed internally, right? I had a lot of skin issues that came up that showed up from it. And that is a leading indicator of something that's going on in your body. It's your largest organ. And I've been teaching about this. So for me, it was natural to always go to the adaptogens, to plants, and to things like that to address the stress. If we don't do it, if we don't address it and use some kind of, toolbox, because I really realized that it's not outside of ourselves. It's not in a pill or a patch or anything outside of you, a new relationship or shopping or whatever it is that we do, eating, alcohol. It's not in all of that. It's really in the daily choices that we make every single day. And most entrepreneurs I know put themselves last. And sometimes you have to do that because you're in a grind or something, but we have to get in the habit of putting ourselves first. There's a reason why they tell you to put your mask on first in the plane, right? You have to take care of you. If you don't have the clarity to make good choices, those choices can affect you for the rest of your life. And I know. So I feel like once I was able to get a little more clarity and release some of the fat, start to clean it up, detox, was able to see and make better choices and realize it's in those daily choices that add up. It's not in a single fad thing that's going to help. It's
Right.
it's it's working with someone too. It's I have multiple coaches for multiple things, and you coach people, and I'm sure been coached. So we look to get help, mentors. I love mentoring. Mentoring is a really great way. Someone who's been through what you've been through. I love talking to people who've broken a leg. I feel like we're part of a club because you don't really know what it's
Broken
like.
leg club. Yeah.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
It was worse than childbirth and the most difficult experience of my life, but also the best experience and brought me to where I am. So I'm a lifelong traveler and I get to continue to travel when I'm an entrepreneur because I can work from anywhere and it gives me purpose and community. So these are the things that bring you joy: purpose, community, having fun and laughing every day, making sure that you're giving yourself the loving messages, right? What we tell ourselves every day, and catch yourself when you hear yourself saying, "Oh my God, I'm so stupid." Never. I'm stupid. I'm awesome. I'm wonderful. And I am on it. Don't let that saboteur that we all have get in the way of you doing what you're here to do. And if it's being an entrepreneur, there's tons of support like you have with this beautiful woman over here who has an amazing group. And if you don't have the spiritual aspect in it, it's not really in alignment anyway, right? So we got to bring it all together holistically. There's a reason for that word. And I feel like where we're going to be going over the next few years is going to be more talk about toxins and the chemicals in our food. And we've got to wake up to this because it is a serious problem. And we're not what we eat, we're what we absorb. So if we're not getting our body what it needs, our bodies are the miracles. They can do whatever we need. I've heard time and time and time again of people with the placebo effect. When they believe it will heal them, it will. And I'll tell you, with nutrition, I'm a big fan of protein pacing. Just like if they give you medicine, they tell you to take it every 4 hours. We should be doing that with protein too, because our body needs it and we thrive on it. We want to give our brain cells and our body everywhere our body needs protein. So if I could give you a big tip, it would make sure you're getting your needs met. and taking care of you first so that you can be the best entrepreneur you're meant to be.
Love it. So do you have like a favorite product or products? I mean, like just by
Absolutely.
looking at you, I can see that your hair is fantastic and your skin is glowing, but what do you love?
I always say it really first starts with detoxing. And when I like to work with people, I'd like to go through a 30-day reset. And then we determine where their needs are really, best suited. But
Okay.
for me, my best seller, and of course, I've been taking my collagen elixir. Do I have it over here? This is really a big seller for me. It's not farmed fish, really important, single dose. So it really is effective. And I do this as well as my hair revival. Just beat Nutrafol out in a big, big study, and it works. I'm telling you. And then, of course, really the adaptogens are my very favorite because lavender is an adaptogen, and adaptogens are plants that help our body adapt to stress. And I like to have a big toolbox that helps me adapt to stress, from the words I'm using to taking walks to meditating and to making sure I'm giving my body adaptogens, and things like ashwagandha, eleuthero root, rhodiola. These things are amazing. Mushrooms are nootropics and adaptogens. These are really good. So anything with adaptogens, this is my energy drink with adaptogens. I love it, love it, love it. So if you want to know more about that, or how I work in a botanically supported intermittent fasting to help me release 100 pounds, I love talking about that.
Wow, that's fantastic. How do we get to know more or work with you? Do you want to drop some links when we're done here or?
Sure. And they can go to my website, theartoflivingjoyfully.com. Please download my free
Okay,
complimentary
got it.
biohack
Got
your
it.
life guide. I also have a free workshop, and you can sign up for that and just meet with me like this one on one. That's the best way. I like to do everything customized. Oh, and I did want to mention in January the 11th and 12th here in Maui, we're doing a fantastic retreat with Paul Williams from Australia. It'll be all quantum hypnosis and quantum therapy. It'll be amazing. Please come to Maui. I love to be your Maui wellness concierge, show you around, and help you plan the best trip ever. So go to my website, check it out.
Okay, so now I need to book a trip to Maui.
Please, Maui needs you. We
I
really need
know.
people.
How is it going there as far as I know it's only been what is it? Has it been a year
A
since
little over a year, right?
been
Happened
over a
in
year?
August. It's really down. Tourism is down. People got the word not to come, and then there was the Olympics, and a lot of trips to Europe because of the dollar being good. So we're trying to get everybody's attention to come back. I'm hoping it picks up. Some of my favorite restaurants have closed. People I know have had to move off island.
Yeah.
The rents are outrageous, just
Uh,
like everywhere.
uh, okay. So it's important more now more than ever to really
Yes.
keep it reined in up here, ladies, and do the inner work wherever you are. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because we all have our issues, right? We
Yeah.
saw what happened in on the East Coast, and so we're all getting it,
We're all
right?
going
And
through
so the
something.
more grounded we stay and take care of ourselves and have that healthy toolbox. I actually visualize my healthy toolbox, and I have it and I carry it with me, and I have lots of things in it, and I can help you grow your healthy toolbox.
Well, I love that so much. Will you do us a favor? Will you drop? I put the link in the chat. I don't know if I did it correctly because I'm on it live right now, so I can't click it until we're done here with wrapping this up. But if you want to drop any links or however, whatever you want to promote, if you have a freebie or whatever you want to do, I think that'd be really, really helpful for this community because there's so many women entrepreneurs here, and especially being that it's like Black Friday time, it's holiday season. Even if you're not participating in Black Friday sales, it's still that time of year where we might have to see family that we don't really want to see too often during the rest of the year. Like there's cooking, there's shopping, there's like that pressure that
There's
we either
sugar.
put us on we put on ourselves, there's extra sugar going on, like there's all this stuff. So I think that this is a really good time to be talking about things like this. So whatever you want to drop down below, go ahead and do that when we're done.
I will for sure. And I often give gifts that are like I give my collagen hot chocolate, or I give something healthy just to remind people to take care of themselves.
Uh-huh.
And when you eat that extra sugar, and everybody does, I eat more than I normally do because I try to stay away from it. I'm really trying to find creative ways to cook without sugar, with maple syrup, with dates. There's so many things on Instagram these days.
There's
So
so many things.
I
Yeah, it's good to know that we have options because I know that for myself, it's so easy to get like just into the routine,
yes.
right? Like do what you've always done. It's like, well, there's so many more options out there that can benefit us in a way better way. And when we talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have to do this just because I've always done it. Let's try cooking somewhere else. Let's try
Right. And
going to a market. Let's do organic things. Let's meditate. Let's,
take
infuse
a walk.
lavender. Let's take a walk. Yeah, there's all these other things, but I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, it is hustle and go and grind.
It is,
Sometimes
especially
we
now.
we don't put our mask on first, right? We try to pour from an empty cup and hey, how's that working out? Not great. Here's why.
No,
You gotta
no.
change it up. So yeah.
And I encourage people, don't count calories. Look at the ingredients. There's some really cool apps I found where you can actually scan the barcode and it'll give you whether there's preservatives or chemicals in there. These are the things you
Mhm.
want to stay away from because they affect your ability to think with clarity. So have fun. Do the things that make you fun, happy, and have fun.
Yes. Live, laugh, love. Well, I really want to thank you for taking the time to do this. I know it's earlier in the morning for you, and I wish you a wonderful day. And thanks to everybody who came to the live or is going to check it out on the replay. And I want to do that too. Let me hit the react button.
We'll do it together. Yeah, thank you. It was so fun.
Yay, thank you. Love and light, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.